March the 26th in the year 2026. That's episode 12, and we are live. The 360 Speedway, it's the last week of the month of March, and that means, hopefully for the first time successfully in 2026, we will bring you an absolutely live and unleashed edition of 360 Speedway. I am Derek Smith. Thank you very much for making some time. Hope you're sitting back comfortably, drink in hand, a little bowl of nibbles. You've locked the family away in another room, and you can please join the chat. There's no agenda tonight, no particular planned Speedway discussion. We will be shaped by your questions and comments to this week's Handlebar Heroes, who I'm going to introduce right now. Joining us on 360 Live, episode 12, let's introduce Simon Lambert, Stuart Robson, and Nigel Crabtree. Good evening, gents.
Evening.
So listen, since we last gathered together, I think it was all four of us who were on last week, or three of us. I think you the night off, Simon, if I remember correctly. But you were building up, Simon, to making your competitive debut of the 2026 season, and quite a successful weekend, Simon Lambert.
Better than the whole of last year, yeah. So, listen, it's good just to get racing again. Good bit of practice. Obviously, red car again tomorrow for Scunny. So, yeah, Sunday was okay. Could have been more. Could have been a bit more luck on my side. But yeah, it's good to get racing and see the fans, and it's quite nice. A lot of people obviously have mentioned about the 360, which is good. So it just shows people do watch and take note of what we do.
Were you mobbed? Is that what you're telling me, Simon? You were mobbed for once?
I wasn't. I'm always mobbed, Derek. You know me.
And listen, you another man who was in the same place at the same time as you on Friday night at Red Car was our Mr. Robson. A disappointing end to the night for you, Stuart, because you were all primed and geared and made a big effort to do some to get back on the bike for the first time in 7 or 8 seasons, and unfortunately curtailed by the injury to Charles Wright. And we send our best wishes to Charles for a very quick and speedy and full recovery. But from your own point of view, Stuart, were you slightly relieved?
Frustrated more than relieved. I think it was sad. I hadn't had a chance to have practice, and my practice was literally going to be straight after heat 15, and so that was going to be my practice was going to be in front of the crowd, which was probably a bit not ideal, but it was a bit of relief, I guess, but a bit more disappointment. But obviously the night ended worse for Charles, so best wishes to Charles. Hopefully he's back up in the running soon.
I'm just thinking, Stuart, I felt very sorry for you back in the day, because it took forever. It took about 8 years for you to get your farewell meeting because of the weather and different other things and COVID and all that good stuff. And here you are about to make a big track return, and you're going to have to put it on ice again for another while. Crabby, good evening to you. Tell the world, Nigel Crabtree, what you're missing to join and talk on 360 tonight.
What am I missing there? I'm missing Emmerdale, Derek. We're all missing Emmerdale. Especially for this Emmerdale.
Who knew that Nigel Crabtree, the big, tough, gritty Yorkshire Speedway piece of granite, is addicted to Emmerdale? Anyway, listen, I'm just looking at some comments on Facebook. Thank you guys and girls for joining. Duncan Robertson, let's hope you have sound this time. Duncan, can you give me a thumbs up? Can't tell us, Duncan, or Si, or anyone who's watching, can you hear us? I should have checked that first of all. Can you see and hear us out there before we start chewing the fat on lots of Speedway chat? Good evening to you, Si Pugh, as well. I'm watching for the comment coming in. Someone tell me that you can hear us. And if I don't see any comment, that suggests that you can't hear us.
Oh, they're shy.
I'm going to ask a question. Yes, we can, says Si. Thank you very much for the affirmation, Si. Listen, we will talk about some miscellaneous Speedway stuff. There is no agenda tonight, no particular discussion topic. Quite happy for you guys out there to set the whole discussion agenda for this evening. But we're going to run through till about 9:15 or thereabouts, if all the tech holds up. So please feel free to post your questions on Facebook, and I'll do my best to keep across those and put those to the lads. So just while we wait a few minutes for the good, thanks for all the affirmations that you can hear us loud and clear. So first of all, so we talked about last week. One thing, I'm making my 2026 Speedway debut on Saturday at Glasgow for the staging of the Ben Fund, and I noticed a few enforced changes to the rider lineup. I don't have it to hand, but it looks like a thoroughly competitive field. There's no big names, no Freddie Lindgren, no Jason Doyle, no one like that. Tom Brennan will be out to defend his Ben Fund's title that he picked up at Oxford last year. Thoroughly looking forward to getting back trackside. If anyone watching is going to be there on Saturday, do tap me on the shoulder. Please say hello and let us know if you too are looking forward to Glasgow on Saturday. Another thing just to pick up that we did touch on last week, and we were speculating that news absolutely has to break anytime soon, and that's around Northampton. So listen, I think there's no doubt that Northampton is a thing. Northampton have confirmed they are committed to operating in the Premiership in 2026. I've seen some video footage, I've seen some photographs too. Lots of work going on at the track to lower the inside curb, which was a bit of concern, and day on day, lots of work going into that track to make it Speedway ready. Simon, I'm going to bring you in and ask you your second question of the night. Here we are, practically the end of March. I think Northampton are scheduled to have their first fixture away to Ipswich, I think it is, on the 20th of April. So that is about 3 weeks from now, probably 3 weeks tonight, to be accurate. There must be reasons, Simon, why right so far there's been no announcement about the club name, the team management, the new owners, and nothing, zero on the team currently. Is that for you, Simon, a concern, or do we just have to be super patient?
I think it's a big thing, obviously, the news of a sixth team, which is great. I think personally, if they went and said, "Oh yeah, we're running and these are our 7 riders," it looks a bit Mickey Mouse. Like it's all hidden. Do you know what I mean? Obviously, the work's going on behind the scenes to get it done. They've entered the league. They've been accepted. Now they've got to find some riders, but it's a little bit of sad news. What I've heard through the grapevine from a very, very man at the top, really, and good source. We're all saying, like, probably me and Crabby more than anyone, back the Brits and all this. Someone told me 7 riders the other day, British riders, have all declined it, which it's quite sad, really. You got a lot of riders just want to ride the bikes and do this, but there's 7 Englishmen that have said, nah, not interested. So I think they're just... I've heard 4 names. I'm not going to name them because that's not fair on them. But I think they're looking for a couple of big hitters. So I think it will come. It will all come in time. They'll just drip feed it in. But I mean, listen, at the end of the day, they're in the league, so they're going to have a team. So they'll be at Ipswich, aren't they, with 7 riders, 3 weeks today, and who knows who they'll be.
Surely though, Simon, don't you reckon? I hope I'm wrong here saying this. Has it not been pushed through a bit too quick, rushed through, and hopefully it doesn't backfire and not work out like it should? Maybe it could have missed this year and gone for the year after. Loads of publicity, team-wise, everything. Has it not been rushed through? I hope it hasn't. I hope I'm wrong, but it just seems like it's all getting a little bit last minute and all rushed through. I hope I'm wrong and it works real good, obviously.
I think we needed the other team, didn't we? They needed 6. I think it's a bit pathetic, personally, running a league with 5. It's not worth it, is it? It'd been better doing one league. But obviously, they're putting the work in to lower the curbs, which I think's been the biggest problem. But that problem's overcome now. But I don't honestly think they thought they'd have a problem getting a team like they perhaps have been struggling. I mean, like I say, I've heard 4, but there's no big name in it. But at the end of the day, the way I look at it is it's another team, it's a new track. People will all want to go, people go watch football, don't they? They try and do every ground in England. Do you know what I mean? They'll all go to Northampton. The first meeting is on BSN. I hope everybody buys it. It'd be interesting, it'd be exciting. If they filled it up with, I'm not being rude, if they filled it up with Simon Lambert, Stuart Robson and Nigel Crabtree, people will still go watch. Do you know what I mean? At the end of the day, you've just got to you can only sort of play the hand you dealt, can't they? So I think this year will be a big learning year for them, and then they can push on then. But it's just sad that a lot of these riders don't want these extra meetings. That's the bit I think's sad.
I think it's terrible, Derek.
I do find it odd, Simon, because how often on 360 do we talk about riders needing and wanting and desiring more, maximum bike time, multiple clubs, multiple leagues, even across Europe if that's what it takes. But riders like to be active.
Yeah, the big boys are not chasing the money as such, but they are really, aren't they? Like Poland, Sweden, Denmark. Some of them are doing the UK still, but I mean, yeah, Robert Lambert was asked, I heard. Adam Ellis was asked, I heard, and they're just So.
Why do you think they've turned it down, though? Do you think is that they just didn't want to go to that track, or is it they might being offered a very good deal, or what do you think on that?
I don't know. I mean, obviously, I'm a rider. You're an ex. We're all ex-riders. We all know we all have a worth. But somebody like Robert Lambert, I would assume, I don't know, maybe he struggled a bit last year, just put his head down this year, smash Poland again and concentrate on the GPs. It's daunting, It's like anything, whatever league you're at or level you're at, when you go to a new track, a new place, and you're that number one, you've got to set the world alight. And we all know how Poland operate, don't we? If they see Robert come to Northampton and perhaps not tear trees up or pull trees up, whatever the word is, they might think, do you know what I'm saying? So, I don't know, we'll see. But at the end of the day, just go support them, go have a look, and they can build. They've got a lot to build on for next year, I think. So that is one positive around the whole job. So yeah.
Just picking up a couple of comments out on Facebook. Simon Pitchford, I wondered why riders are turning Northampton down. Duncan Robinson, wouldn't be surprised to see Ty riding in the Northampton team now that he's out of the GPs. So listen, the fixture list suggests that we really must, not for the first time I've said it out loud, really must begin to hear some news coming out of Northampton, even if it's drip fed, even if initially it's around the ownership and the team management, the club management even, and even the club name. We're all kind of keen to hear that stuff, and even if it is at the 11th hour or 11th and a half hour to name the team just before the 20th of April, I guess would be time enough. Simon, I've got a question for you on Facebook that comes from Simon Pitchford. Is Simon riding for Peterborough the comment just moved. Is Simon riding for Peterborough in the Spring Triangle at Mildenhall on the 25th of April?
No, it's not in the diary. To be honest, I believe no championship riders they're just trying to keep it that sort of level themselves. From what I got, that's what I'm told. That's what I think. I spoke to Carl the other week about a few things, and he said no to that one, but maybe further down the line in the year. So I just said, yeah, whatever, mate.
Good. Neil Fitzjohn has got Ty for Northampton with a love heart. So a bit of a wish from Neil that Ty Woofenden might find his way back into British Speedway, courtesy of the new boys at Northampton. Talking about new boys and all things new, so we're in that sort of lovely part of the season where everyone's emerging from all the dark winter days and nights. Still got a heating on, mind you, it's blooming freezing out there. But club by club, they're having the press and practice days, and I just wanted to bring this photograph up. I noticed some of the race suit designs are really pretty vibrant, to put it mildly. This is what a fabulous picture. Tom Brennan's in there somewhere. This is from Bidgosh at their press and practice, which I think was held today.
Today.
Is it today?
Today.
But look at me. Just look at the crowd. Look at the crowd that's turned up for a press and practice event. It's just phenomenal. And I tell you what, if I lived in Poland, I would want shares in toilet rolls or whatever it is that they throw. Must be yards of that stuff that just disappear. I'm going to try. In fact, let me just do it live. I don't mind you seeing me. Bear with me while I stroll around a little bit. But just another couple of clubs that caught my eye in terms of race suits. Well, there's. Hope you can see on screen. There's the Oxford Cheetahs in their lovely high vis colours, and just below, look at that. There's the Oxford Chargers sunglasses must be handed out at the turnstiles when you go to see the Chargers in action. And there's our friend of 360, Harry Fletcher, one of the Chargers for Oxford this year. And let me just go north of the border. You'll know where I'm going with this, because just yesterday, my own club, the Tigers, have,
I like their Kevlars.
Yeah,
The middle bit.
It's pretty.
Is it tartan or something they call it? I don't know.
I think it's like
looks cool.
I think it's like a tartan touch, a little bit Dan Julius, because Dan has a bit of a tartan thing going on as well. But I just wanted to pull these up. I think I always find it fascinating, a sort of big reveal season on season in terms of the new look. Simon, you've already had your new 2026 race suit and put them through their paces. It's nice and comfortable and roomy and fluid. Perfect.
Fits like a glove. Just wonder, like, see if I can borrow Freddie Odder's sunbed. I reckon he's either been on holiday for a long time somewhere, or he's got a hell of a good sunbed, hasn't he?
Right, let's check if there are any more questions out there. So if you're watching out in Facebook land, I'm going to keep my eyes across all the comments. Let's see what we got. So Duncan Robinson is saying tie for Northampton alongside Simon, Crabby and Stuart. There you are, guys. There's an offer for you. Duncan, if you make it worth their while, I'm sure they'll consider it seriously. Jeff Daniels has commented, it's rumoured on BSN that the Northampton announcement will be next week. Let's see. Well, it kind of needs to be, Jeff. It kind of needs to be next week. Fingers crossed. And you know, there's a big Crabby, just to speculate a little bit, and it's partly the point that you were making earlier, Nigel. You know, have Northampton allowed themselves enough time to complete their preparedness, etc., on track and off track? And you know, right here, right now, I don't know whether there's any visible marketing activity in the greater Northampton area, but potentially there's a tens of thousands of people who live around that stadium or within a few minutes of it who won't have a clue that there's going to be a new team in town.
Yeah, I mean, like what I was saying before, I hope it hasn't been rushed through because, you know, I want it to. I'm a Speedway supporter, like all of us, and you want to see it do good. We all want to see it do good, don't we? I just hope it hasn't been rushed through and have to pay for it later on, maybe. You know, you've got to hope Northampton is here for the foreseeable future, not just for one season. You know, we don't want it to go wrong. We want it to go right. And from what OIE might be running it, I don't know. It's not. I don't know if it's right or wrong, but if OIE might be running it, I don't know. He normally does it right, so
okay.
You've got to hope it's right. But they've got to have a competitive team, haven't they? They've got to have a competitive team. You know, at the end of the day, they've got to be capable of winning at home. Keep your own supporters happy, and what happens away, well, you go along with that, but you've got to be able to win at home, really. And I hope it works, and I hope it's good.
Oh, absolutely. And I tell you what, you know, we shared some photos, some still photographs on last week's episode, and it kind of whet my appetite to want to go and experience it. It looks a fabulous setup, and I'm sure the track will lend itself to spectacular speedway. So I'm going to pick up a couple of questions that some 360 Speedster posted when we announced that we're going to do this live stream. So, Cy Pugh, I know you are online tonight, and you asked a few days ago, Cy, you said, we all want Speedway back to how it was and new tracks. Has anyone thought about trying to do a multi-sport stadium rather than push for Speedway? Could it be possible to do dog track, then Speedway / banger racing, a bit like Ipswich or Wolverhampton? So that kind of multi-sports concept, you know, and you know, thinking about it now, Nigel, you mentioned last week about greyhound racing being banned. That's now happened in Scotland, Nigel, since you had that conversation last week.
Has it? Right, has it? Okay.
But it does kind of then pose the question: well, if greyhound stadia are no longer permitted to operate when there was a will to operate them, might those stadium owners begin to look further afield for other revenue streams, and could that play into the hands of Speedway once again?
You'd like to think so, wouldn't you? But I don't know. Stadiums can't afford to run once a week, can they? But having said that, you know, Redcar, they just run Speedway there, I think, don't they? I don't think they do anything else, but they have practice sessions, different things like that. Scunthorpe again, you know, Scunthorpe, it's their own stadium, isn't it? It has stock cars, has practices, and obviously Rob Godfrey makes it work there through one thing and another. So, you know, they can be made to work, can't they? It's just, I think it's owning the stadium, isn't it? Owning that stadium and being able to use that stadium 7 days a week. There's so many, what can we say? I mean, take Stoke. There was one person complained about the time at Stoke and the council was straight on, and the time thing came in then and had to be finished for 10. Then I think it came to 9:30, and that all started from just one old couple. Naught else better to do than to worry about that, like, you know. I don't know. It's hard work, isn't it? It's hard work, but, you know, Redcar, Workington, Scunthorpe, all got their own tracks, other ones as well. Let's hope we can get more like that.
I think that's still the model. You know, we see it quite often. Redcar, Scunthorpe, Workington, that Leicester, that type of speedway dedicated venue is probably the model that we should try to move forward with. But beggars can't be choosers, and, you know, subject to land availability and available money to buy land and build stadiums and things. And maybe if the Greyhound stadium owners begin to reach out and talk to would-be speedway promoters, maybe that might be, there might be some way back to grow back the sport. Simon, a question. I'm going to be very transparent here. So David Umney, good evening, David, if you are watching live or on catch-up. So David messaged a couple of nights ago and asked this question: are you able to get an update from Rob Godfrey on what the two announcements were that he suggested would be made imminently when he appeared on the show? That was back in January. So David Umney, I can exclusively reveal, as I did commit to, I asked Simon Lambert if he could speak to Rob and see whether we could unravel any answer to that question. So Simon, be very tactful. Over to you.
Well, I spoke to Rob earlier actually and asked him this because I forgot yesterday, and he just basically said one was obviously the saviour of Ipswich, because that was a bit up in the air at the time, and the second one was obviously Northampton. But he did say to me tonight about the Speedway Futures that obviously there was a lot of talk about, and he did say there is still an awful lot happening behind the scenes, and hopefully in the next 2-3 weeks at a push there should be a lot of things starting to come out of the woodwork as such, developments and that. So bit of a watch this space for a couple of weeks really. But yeah, they were the two things, Ipswich and Northampton, he was on with. So fingers crossed we'll get him back on at some point. When I rung him earlier, he said he'd ringing me a bit early. I said, no, I'm busy tonight. Speedway 360. Oh, I'm too busy, I can't do it tonight, he said. I think I thought I was going to ask him. I thought he's live tonight. We won't want you on tonight. Too early for you. You had enough cider in you. So, but yeah, they were the things. So yeah, he's actually quite upbeat and positive about things at the minute. So I don't know whether that was because we won at home on Sunday or not really, because we didn't do that very often last year. So, but no, he's there's still plenty in the woodwork to come out.
Good. And I think, you know, the magic word for me, and I'm sure for everyone listening and watching, is Speedway Futures, because, you know, we were all desperately keen to see some delivery from that group, and no pressure, because again, I know that what they're trying to achieve can't remotely be easy, but to have some breaking news on that in the next few weeks, I think was what you said, or Rob said, was is something that we should all keep an eye on. Back on Facebook, Alan Atherton. Good evening, Alan. Hope you're doing well. Who's the promoter at Northampton? Question mark. I've heard 3 names. Alan, I think we've all heard several names, and to be fair, you know, it's, you know, given the investment and all the effort of the people who are going to launch Speedway at Northampton, it's in their gift. It's got to be them that break the news. So I'm certainly not going to rain on anyone's parade and even speculate about who might be involved there. But hopefully, if Jeff's rumoured rumour earlier is remotely correct. We'll hear what we want to hear next week. Who else has been out there? Who's turned it down? Says Alan. Alan Atherton again. Alan, I think you're referring to some riders who we believe have been approached by Northampton and have declined the offer to go there. I personally don't know any names, but and maybe it would be unfair again to mention them. But it would appear. I think Simon said earlier. The sad thing really is there's a number of British riders rumoured to be the ones who have declined to go to Northampton. So sometimes go on, Nigel.
I think it's shocking. I think it's terrible if they have turned it down, because them same ones, and I don't know any names, I have no idea. I think it's terrible because later on in the year, you'll get riders complaining there isn't enough meetings, they can't make enough money. I hope not. I hope we don't hear that later on, and then we get to hear which riders have turned it down, because, well, they're waiting to be shot down then, aren't they? Why can't they do it? Why don't they want to do it? Surely Simon, Robbo, myself, when we were riding, you'd have jumped at the chance to go and ride at them places, surely. You know, I don't know. I don't understand it anymore. I really don't. All I can think is they don't like hard work and putting themselves out.
Robbo, could I bring you on this? You know, just the concept of declining a contract offer to be a piece of history, quite frankly. You'd be in the team, the first team at Northampton. I'm excusing that there used to be a Brayfield team back in the day, but to be a piece of history, be involved in the launch of a brand new club in what looks to be a super stadium, etc. Does seem a bit strange for the reasons that Nigel and Simon have said earlier too.
It does, but it's they've got to have their reasons for it. I mean, I don't really know what them reasons are, because I know in the past I had turned one or two clubs down when I rode with offers, but the reason was it just the offer was just terrible. It wasn't financially viable for me doing it. It was absolutely ridiculous. So. And that was well-established clubs offering me then. So no, I don't know. I mean, it's not good that they're doing it, but I've got to be a reason for it, hasn't it? And I'd like to think it's not just because I don't really fancy riding in another team, or I don't really fancy riding at Northampton because it's not established, or we don't know what it's going to be like or anything. So I'm hoping it's not that. And if any reason they've turned it down is hopefully it's kind of like the deal wasn't there up to their standard that they thought they were their value is.
That might be the reason, and if it is, then maybe that's the most acceptable reason of all, because that would apply equally to any offer from any club. So, Simon, one for you. John Bird has been in touch. Good evening, John. And John says, "Big up, Simon. I met him in Prague Airport last year after the Grand Prix. Such a nice guy."
Thanks, mate. I think I had a bit of a hangover coming home from Prague, but yeah.
Was a little bit subdued, John? Was he a little bit subdued? And listen, I tell you what, I've said it a few times out loud on 360. Simon he's a super nice guy, and if you meet him, if you've heard him talk on here and talk to some other riders, some other younger riders, and he's very open and honest and supportive of all things Speedway. To be quite honest, thanks for the comment, John. Let's pick up another couple of comments now. Here we go. Alan Atherton, you again. Keep them coming, Alan. There's no limit, please. Just keep messaging. Alan says he's up for the bench band this weekend. Looks like a good lineup and a great cause. Well, the cause couldn't be better as far as Speedway is concerned. And I was doing a little bit of research today. I didn't realise that the Speedway Riders Benevolent Fund was set up in something like 1948 or 1949. It goes back a heck of a long way. So it's been doing really good work for such a long time, and it's the only official charity in the world of Speedway. So more power to their elbow. And yes, Alan, if tap me on the shoulder, Alan, on Saturday if you see me. You're welcome to buy me a drink as well. And hopefully you have a safe drive up from Manchester, and hope you enjoy the entertainment on show on Saturday. Jamie Fennick has been in touch. One for you, Robbo. Robbo, when are you getting the Diamonds back together? Says Jamie Fennick.
That would be good. That would be nice, wouldn't it? It'd be nice if they got the offer of a stadium to use. I would love to be involved. It would be great. It's a long way for me to go there every week, but yeah, it would be great to get them back together, wouldn't it? I know they did have a bit of a makeshift team the other day at Redcar last week, and one it's actually quite a good team what they've got put together, to be fair. And they had a good result, a good win.
I've got to say, when I know it was like a season opening friendly, but when I seen the result, I was quite gobsmacked by the margin of victory.
I was as well. I was there on the night, and because I was getting changed and stuff, I'd missed a bit of the meeting, and I was trying to sort of concentrate on what I had to do as well. So I was kind of watching, but wasn't really taking stuff in. And then when I found out afterwards that they lost by, was it 10 points or something? I was like, wow, I didn't realise that the Bears had lost by that much, to be fair. But yeah, like I say, it was actually a good Newcastle team, though. It wasn't a bad team at all. It was very competitive. Yeah, that would be a good team to put through the league. That.
Did you enjoy the track, Simon? How did you find the track so early in the season at Redcar?
It was good, mate. Just we've had this chat, Redcar's very much like Scunny. Everybody enjoys riding there. Everybody likes going there, but it had a bit of dirt on it. And obviously, this time of year, when you go practicing, it's like riding on the motorway. It's so slick, just rips your tyres to bits. But it's slightly different. Obviously, with a bit of dirt on it, it can be a bit daunting. But yeah, it was good, enjoyable, and there was plenty of people there, which was the main thing. Like Robbo just said, there was plenty of Newcastle fans, which was good to see. And yeah, made plenty of noise, and yeah, it's good.
When I seen some photographs, Nigel, over the weekend, Friday night over the weekend, I actually did smile when I seen the Newcastle Diamonds race jacket again. It's kind of disappeared from the Speedway scene for a few seasons, and you quickly forget some of these things. It was a sort of iconic club emblem through my whole lifetime watching Speedway, and a former club of yours, Mr. Crabtree.
Yeah, I mean, Newcastle always was black with a white diamond, wasn't it? Always, or certainly in the good days. And then I know in I think my last year or two there, they got sponsored by Larder, didn't they? And that Larder thing was a really good thing. Extended to Hull as well, obviously. Ian Thomas, Brian Larder, same promotion. And let me tell you, them Larders took some stick, I'll tell you. Everybody were using a Larder. I had a Larder for a few weeks, borrowed one mic hour out, and dear me, them Larders took some stick. But in them days up at Newcastle, the support and that up there, that terracing used to be absolutely ram-packed full. You could not move on there. Really good days they were. I were only wobbling round at the back, like just getting number 7 when there was nobody else, sort of thing. But it was really good and very well run, good run show and everything.
And one thing, Nigel, that makes it all the sadder actually is, and we talked earlier about the greyhounds being banned now, but at Newcastle, I mean, I seen in very recent weeks, 2 weeks ago, I seen some online adverts on my Facebook feed, and it was Newcastle Greyhound Stadium promoting themselves, and they'd invested in some new facilities, bars and restaurants and things. So the sad thing is, there's a reasonably nice stadium there, all purpose-built. It could be purpose-built for Speedway now, and a nice stadium, nice venue, but no Speedway team to make use of it. And that's a sad thing. Hopefully that could change. Who knows?
I think, isn't, I might be wrong here, does the same owners not own Newcastle, own Birmingham, something like that? And I don't know. End of the day, obviously they just don't want Speedway there, do they? At their dog tracks. I don't know.
But, well, having said that, though, I mean, I do think I think the issue that saw the demise of the Diamonds was much more Speedway caused. Yeah, it wasn't that the stadium didn't want Speedway there; it was the Speedway wasn't sustainable financially. But
I think by what I heard, I think the stadium were making it very hard for Speedway to be there.
Okay.
I think so. From what I heard from sort of pretty sources close to it.
Interesting.
But that's what I heard. Now,
same with Kent, Swindon.
Yeah.
All the dog tracks are gone now. Birmingham.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know the dogs didn't like the speedway at Newcastle, from what I was told as well, and I was there a long time. They hated the speedway.
Yeah.
The poor dogs had to go round further than the speedway riders.
They did, yes.
But they didn't have any boots on, did they? They only had them pads digging into shale. That was the problem, I think.
Yeah, exactly. I think that was the problem. It was the stones on the sand.
Yeah.
I'm not 100% sure. I think that was the issue. That's what I kind of took from it.
We had that at Stoke as well. You know, the dog owners, some of these dogs are worth a few bob, aren't they? And they cut the feet and that, cut the pads, then they can't run. I know we had that problem at Stoke, the shale getting on, or the stones, you know, bit sharp shale getting onto the sand. You can cover it all you like, but you will never, ever keep all the shale off the sand, will you?
Yeah. Couldn't someone invent some boots, some running shoes for greyhounds? That would have solved it.
They ought to.
Have you ever took notice, though? Have you ever been dog racing, took notice how much they get for winning a race?
Go on.
The dogs are the owners.
Well, obviously, Peterborough Dogs, that was local to me. That's shut down now. But I used to go there a bit, and I've been to Sheffield and that. And I think, like, a dog wins a race, it was like 80 quid.
Okay.
Well, yeah, exactly. That's what I'm saying. Like, a dog wins a race, 80 quid. It cost it more than that. And it's bloody pedigree chum all week, wasn't it? And taking it for walks and that. And then they try and make out dog racing's bigger than Speedway. Well, how does that work?
I think it's just the gambling, isn't it?
Or is that just me? I
Gambling.
don't know. Yeah, it is the gambling, yeah. But 80 quid to win a race, like, costs you more than that to, like I say, take the dog out for a walk and that all week. If you paid someone to do it, it doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
Let me pick up another couple of questions. Tasha Louise Marshall. Good evening, Tasha. Tasha says Lambo is getting a big head with all these compliments, Simon. So calm down, Simon.
I'm just a likeable guy, likeable idiot.
Si Pugh has commented, my daughter is a big Luke Becker fan. She's got a few things of Luke's on her bedroom wall. I take it he's not riding in the UK this year, or could he be signing for Northampton? Well, your guess is as good as ours, Si. Listen, there's lots of rumours about some riders who might be destined for Northampton, but I know sometimes we do speculate, but let's not do it on a live show. Let's just speculate. Luke Becker might be one of them. Who knows?
I might be riding for Northampton as well.
Nigel might be riding for Northampton, yeah. That might be why Robert was going to get back on the bike last Friday. Who knows? Who else? Daniel Hughes. Look at when Workington first opened back in the 2000s. The fans were mad for it, which they absolutely were. And the sponsor for clubs and riders was wanted. I think what you're saying is Speedway shared its stadium with rugby, with Workington Rugby League Club. You're right, and that didn't handicap the Speedway at all. But that was a big. The actual footprint of that stadium was massive.
Anyway, a wicked place that was, the old Workington, whatever.
Yeah. It was a fast track, wasn't it? It was great until you crashed.
It was that good, Derek.
Yeah.
They used to start at 7 o'clock on a Saturday night.
Yeah.
But if it ever got rained off and they ran on a Sunday night, they had to run at 7:30 so the vicar could do the evening service and be there because he was a season ticket holder. And that's a true fact.
Is it?
True fact. That is comical. That is brilliant.
The vicar of Workington was a big Comets fan. I didn't know that. Can I ask you one question about Derwent Park? Was that a bit like Berwick in so much as the first and second bend was remarkably different from the third and fourth?
In that respect, yeah, and Isle of Wight similar as well. Sort of, there was a lot more banking on the third and fourth, than what there is on the first and second. You know, it's similar sort of thing, yeah. And like I say, Isle of Wight was similar as well.
Do you think it was fast? Do you think it was faster, Robbo, than Berwick?
I don't know.
Must have been similar.
It was very similar, mate. I mean, I know Berwick is extremely fast track, Workington was as well, but I don't know. Would have been interesting to find that out. To be fair, it was, I remember I used to have one of them watches, like a Garmin or whatever it was, and it would clock your it would track where you're going and whatever else, and the speed and everything. And I wore it around Berwick once, and it clocked me out. I don't know how accurate it was. It clocked me out something like 76 miles an hour.
Ooh.
So,
That's right.
yeah, no, I was surprised as well.
Wasn't the police go to Berwick once with a speed gun? I'm sure it was the late Paul Fry. He was fastest man on the night, something like 82.5 mile an hour down the straight. Many years ago that was. I mean, he's been dead a while now, hasn't he? But
yeah, the watch was probably pretty accurate and pretty close there. I mean, and that was gobsmacked when I thought, wow, that was a gun that was quick. That, and if Paul Fryer hit that speed, I mean, that's a hell of a difference to what I did.
Sure, that was in the Speedway Star many years ago. We'll have to get one of the viewers who's a Speedway fanatic to find that out. I'm sure that was many years ago, 12, 15 years ago.
If anyone's watching that can remember or validate that, what was the highest?
Something like 82 mile an hour down a straight at Berwick. Obviously, all the bikes were different then when they straight through pipes and all different now. But yeah, it'd be interesting if they could go like there now.
Yeah.
Let's jump back onto Facebook. Duncan Robinson agrees with you, Crabby, about Newcastle. That was his team for many years. Jason Pipe, good evening, Jason Pipe. Hope you're well. Please ask Simon, who does he think will improve their average the most in our Kings Lynn Young Stars NDL team this season? And how much is he looking forward to riding in the NDL? Simon, we have talked about it a few times on 360, but the first NDL fixture can't be too far off.
I don't know when it is. We're quite late starting, I think, home meetings. I think we're May the 20th, I think, rings a bell for the first home meeting. Away meeting, I couldn't even tell you, to be fair, about the diary.
What's your average, Simon? What's your starting average in the NDL?
I don't know.
Jason,
Jason will tell you, mate. Jason's like a Speedway encyclopedia. So obviously I've got to be careful what I say here, but I've said this before, I don't really know half of the lads. Like, you know, I'll show my age with that, but I reckon I did see that Ollie Binns at Scunny win a race the other week, and he looked quite tidy. So around he's only on a 3, I think. So yeah, I'd be looking out for him, really, to be fair.
Ollie Binns. Yeah,
Ollie Binns.
Here's the tip from Simon, Jason. Ollie Binns is the man to watch in the Young Stars. Collins, I'm sticking with you, Simon. Another question for you from Colin Smith, who I know is an Aces fan. And Colin asks, can you ask Simon who's the best rider he's ridden with and who's the hardest opponent? I'm going to put that to all of you, actually. So we'll start with you, Simon. Best rider you've ridden with, based on your judgment, and the toughest opponent.
Best rider I ever rode with was Thomas Pinker. I started with him at Kings Lynn, and he was like, you know, I think I've said this before, and he was like the perfect role model. He was very well presented off the track, very well mannered. He probably had more in sponsorship than he did in points, and he scored quite well. He was just a sort of good guy, helped the youngsters and that. I sort of always tried to sort of base myself on him. He could walk the walk and talk the talk, and the hardest rider I've probably ever ridden against. I don't know, when I was a kid, you always have that one rider you hate riding against, like scary. And probably when I was it's more when I was a youngster, it's Buzz Burrows. Like, used to think like Emil chase your back wheels, Buzz just, you know, I was a 15, 16-year-old kid, and you got a Buzz who was like 45 or something, and you used to shit yourself, to be fair, because if you got in front of him, you didn't know where he was coming from. And if you got in his way, it just go through you. So he was the hardest rider when I was a kid. But I mean, nowadays, I don't know really. There's just nobody gives an inch, do they? You can't afford to give an inch. You know, like I've always said, we all race per point, money per point. We don't get these guarantees like these big boys. Every point is crucial. Every point is money in our bank and our pockets. So yeah, you've got to be hard nowadays.
Thanks, Simon. Listen, Jason did answer that question. Your starting average is 9.2, Simon. Thank you, Jason. I'm sure you'll live up to it, Simon. So just a quick shout out. That is 8:45. So we're going to be here for another 30 minutes, as long as you keep the questions coming at us, or comments or memories or whatever you might want to share with us. Robbo, same question to you, please.
Best rider I've rode with. Been quite fortunate to ride with a few. My all-time favourite would be probably Greg Hancock. he was great. I was partnered with him. He was 1, I was 2, Coventry for quite some time, and he was great. He's a great teammate, great person, and you know, I was always there to lend a hand with equipment or whatever. But Brian Anderson was always very good as well. He was really good to learn from. He was a very professional rider, and he's very clean and tidy, and he's good. And you know, Shane Parker was brilliant at Middlesbrough when I rode there. Great fun. I didn't know the guy really before then. Kind of knew who he was, but didn't really know much of him. Got to know him very well then. Great bloke, brilliant. Loved Shane. And yeah, I kept in touch with him. He didn't live too far from me in Coventry, to be fair, as well. So I kept in touch with him throughout the years, and he was always good fun. But there's been a lot of good riders. I mean, the favourite would probably be Greg, but there's loads I could name that I've really enjoyed riding with.
Yeah.
Danny King was another one, and Scotty with Coventry, and loads of guys. There's been some really good ones. As far as what was it, the hardest rider? I don't know. There's been quite a few. I mean, the hardest is in like don't give you an inch. Probably Nicky Pedersen was probably one of the worst there. You know, he would literally run you off the track. But his brother was probably worse than him back in the day. So you know, I remember riding at Newcastle in. I think it was Jesper Osmond's testimonial, and it was like Team GB versus Team Denmark, just a couple of us put together. And the Team Denmark team were out like it was the World Team Cup, you know. We got absolutely hammered. And I remember, you know, it was a bit of fun. It was a challenge match sort of thing, you know, with a bit of fun to try and raise some money for Jesper. And trying to go around the outside of Ronnie, and my God, he nearly put me in the bar. And I thought that'll do for me. I will just hold back and stay, you know. So yeah, there's been quite a few. Roman Matusek was another one. He was another one with similar sort of thing. You know, he wouldn't give you an inch. You know, he would literally take the track off you. You know, there's quite a few like that. So I don't really know who the single hardest one was, but there's a couple to name, but a few.
Good character building stuff, Robert. Yeah.
Yeah.
Nigel, what about you, Nigel? Back in the day.
The best ones I would say was when I was at Sheffield. Did quite a bit of time at Sheffield with Sean Moran, Dave Morton, Les Collins. I mean, Sean was very good. You had a trouble with the bike, and he'd bring your bike out to you, and he was very good with Sean. Typical American, probably pretty much along the same as Greg, really. Sean would be, I think. Just typical American, real good. They were probably the best ones I rode with, I think. I rode with Hans for a few meetings at Oxford. He was pretty good. I was paired with him for a meeting or two, I think it was.
Did you keep up with him, Nigel?
He was on a 5-1 at Wolverhampton.
Brilliant.
For a lap.
Yeah, for a lap.
Yeah, I think I finished third in that one. But anyway, no, and the hardest men, well, in them days there was lots of them, you know, and I have to say, up your neck of the woods, they were all from Robbo. Paul Bentley, Martin Dixon.
Bentley, yeah.
I mean, dear me.
Rob Grant, another one.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. I had Grant around Berrington Loft.
Yeah.
Oh, he was mustard around there, wasn't he? But that was the only place he rode. He couldn't ride particularly good anywhere else. But Berrington Loft, he put me on grass one night there. He lifted me off the start. I'll tell you what, this is true, this is. Went to the start line. I think it was a last heat decider when I was there with Stoke. And there was Cribby and Granty, me and I don't know who the other one was. And Cribby was off 2 and Granty 4. And they changed it over and put Cribby off Granty off 2 because I was off 1. And I'd won the previous races. I tell you what, I was a bit... I wasn't very sharp that time, I'll tell you, because I should have known what was coming. And I ended up on centre green before we got to the first corner. And honestly, he just lifted me off. And like, you couldn't go saying no to put Berwick, could you? Because there'd have been a mass brawl and you'd have been outnumbered and you'd have just got shit kicked out of you. You know, it was like that, wasn't it, Robbo?
Yeah, it was.
You know, it was terrible. But, you know, they were so passionate, Davy Fairbairn and that lot, about Berwick. And it's such a little family It was brilliant. I used to look. I really liked that place. But granted, he was an animal. He was an animal. You know, loads of them. In the Martin Goodwin was another one down south. Like he was a hard man. Was Martin? He didn't mind if you give him it, but you know, you couldn't mind if he gave you back, like, you know, because he would. But I have to say, Bentley, Dicko, Martin Dixon, they were hard men up at Middlesbrough. They were, you knew, I used to love going Middlesbrough and racing against them because they give you a hard time, you could give them a hard time back, and there's no falling out, you know, nobody, I mean, good mates with Dicko, with Bentley, not a problem, but bloody hell. And Granty used to come and stop at our house, you know, when his lad rode for Stoke.
Did he?
You know, only a few years before that, he put me out centre green. But, you know, but he always reminded me of it and said it was my fault. Granty did, but I don't know how that one come about. But anyhow, never mind.
Some great names from the three of you. Thank you, and thanks to who was it, Colin? Colin Smith, thanks for the question, Colin. That engendered a good bit of chat. Nigel, I'm going to stick with you. Fred Graham, who's someone that I know in this part of the world. Fred, evening, Fred. Fred says, wasn't the county ground at Exeter one of the fastest tracks in the country? I'm sure Crabby will remember loving riding the county ground. Is that a memory you have, Mitchell?
When I used to see the fixtures come out in February, January, whenever they came out in them days, I used to have to start concentrating on about Exeter then. We probably won't go until August, but I had to start concentrating and thinking about Exeter. I had some good meetings at Exeter. I also had some right bad ones, mind. But I think when I went with Glasgow one year, I don't know if I had 1, 2 maximum, something like that one year. But yeah, it was a fearsome place, wasn't it? And, you know, that steel safety fence, and you used to have to run up to it like and just miss it and run round in the dirt. And then when you were going down straights, it was like a bloody scramble track down the straights. It was up and down, so wavy. And you knew you'd done 4 laps when you'd been round. I couldn't say that anywhere else it ever bothered me, the fitness side of it, riding anywhere else but Exeter. You knew you'd done 4 laps when you'd done 4 round Exeter. I always did anyway, but as I say, I used to have to start concentrating on Exeter in February, ready to go there in August. But I'll tell you what, I could name you some riders. What if they'd still been going round there now? They wouldn't have got any points. And one of them, a real good rider, he used to detest the place. Stoney. Carl Stoney, yeah, he used to hate the place, didn't he, Stoney? And another story I once heard, this is your man from up in your neck of woods, Derek, but I'm going back many, many years, George Hunter. Yeah. Somebody once asked George Hunter for a bit of advice on Exeter. He says, break down, not way.
I like it.
Did you ever ride there, Robbo?
Yeah, I did, mate. I didn't mind it. I didn't mind it too much. When I first started off, I'd heard all the stories, you know, when I was sort of young, and everyone was petrified of the place. Well, it put me off, didn't it, before I went? But I got to know the place in the end. And my last meeting there that I remember riding in 2005, I was with Rye House, where I think that was the year it closed down, wasn't it? Or not long after. And we won the league at there. We didn't win the playoffs, but we won the actual league sort of part of it. And we got a win. We won as an away club there. And bearing in mind, Rye House the year before, it got beat 75-15 there, and we went there and won. And I got a paid maximum. That was the last time I rode there. I didn't mind it at all.
Good lad.
I think Derek, your man Fred, it's asking, when he's on about, I think Glasgow, that's when they doubled up 2 home and 2 away, I think, that year. And I think both times we went there, we won.
Oh, Glasgow won the Exeter twice in a year. Wow. Well before my time, Nigel, I wouldn't know. But
yeah, your man will tell us anyhow.
Fred, you keep it right. And Glasgow won the Exeter twice in a season. That's something that's long since slipped my memory. Duncan, I'll come to you in a second, Duncan. We're talking a little bit multi-sports, stadiums, etc. Robbo, Nigel, you'll have a view on this one. Daniel Hughes was just reminding us that Craven Park in Hull was fitted in around a rugby field. Craven Park, as a track, was it quite a narrow circuit, Craven Park?
Yeah.
Yes, very narrow, wasn't it?
It wasn't the best, was it, Stuart?
Yeah, there wasn't a lot of room. It was tough. It was a bit like Berwick was. I mean, I think have Berwick widened the straights a bit since they started off, because the straights were so narrow there from what I remember anyhow. And then at Hull, yeah, it was very narrow around coming off the corners. Workington felt like that for a while as well. Like you come off the corners are so wide, and then all of a sudden you come into a narrow straight. While a wide same sort of thing as well. Them sort of tracks going around the pitches, the football pitches, rugby pitches, whatever. They kind of, I don't know, they just went from looking okay when you were sort of walking around, but when you were riding around, my God, there wasn't a lot of room on there.
Simon, looking at the tracks that are available today in the UK, which track is closest to that sort of model that you feel it's just borderline being too narrow? Which tracks are you? Put that.
I don't know really. To be fair, like I say, Workington was narrow, like down the straights, massive on the bends, and then very narrow. Berwick's very much the same, but you know it's there. We've all been there enough times now. You know what it's like. You grow a pair or just stay on the pitch, really, isn't it? It's just one of them. I think the worst track I hated the most was Newcastle, because the start line. I don't know about you, Robbo, but I always felt claustrophobic on the start line, because you were literally elbow to elbow. Even if you were in the middle of your gate, it was very, very narrow. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Whereas nowadays you don't get that. Even at Berwick, you've got narrow straight, but you've still got a lot of room.
Yeah, it gradually got made slightly wider in Newcastle over the years. I mean, from back in the day, in the sort of 70s, it was extremely narrow, obviously before my time, but over the years it did get made wider, and been a lot more room, especially on the corners. The straights, there wasn't really a great deal I could do with the straights, but the corners did get took in quite a bit. The straights probably did, but it wasn't as noticeable. But yeah, it was narrow. It was such a long run to the first corner, wasn't it, up there? And obviously there's four of you next to each other, and you got not just you. It is a long run, and you know it there as well. So
Berwick's a short run.
Yes, Berwick is a very short.
No, you have to sort of do 4 laps and a bend at Berwick, don't you? Because you can soon get pipped for a point else.
Yeah.
When you go to Plymouth, Simon, I mean, obviously it's a small track physically or circumference-wise, but is there a sense of claustrophobia? Do you feel you're particularly close on the start line there, or not?
I think you just feel like you're blessed if you get around the first corner. To be fair, it's not that bad. It's narrow, but it's just no real run to the first corner. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's so small around there. There's no time for a rest, is there? That is actually really hard work doing 4 laps around there, because you haven't got any time on the straight to rest. You're just like full on for 53 seconds or whatever the times are around there. 55
Never looked
seconds.
at it that way, to be fair, Rob. I just felt really lucky if I've got around 4 laps. And 6'2" around a little dustbin lid like that. It's hard work.
Yeah.
Nigel Duncan Robinson is referencing your the tough riders that you were calling out earlier. I thought Crabby might have said Robbie Blackadder as a hard man.
I don't know, because it was a little bit before my... Yeah, I rode with Blackadder and that. But I don't know. I don't know if he was that tough. Maybe have a word with Tom Owen and he'll maybe tell you he was tough, because he broke his leg. So he'll maybe tell you he was tough. I don't know. I don't really know what Robbie Blackadder were like, to be honest. I'm not sure. I'm
old enough to remember Robbie Blackadder, but I don't remember him being particularly tough in the mould of some of the guys you mentioned.
I didn't think he was. Certainly not like Martin Dixon, Paul Bentley, Martin Goodwin. He certainly wasn't that tough like them, from what I can remember. I don't even know how good Robbie was. I don't know, was he a top man? I don't rightly know, to be honest.
I just remember him being part of that. Was it 1980 the 1980 or 81 when the all-conquering Newcastle side, and he was
part of that one, Derek. No, you won't be part of that
He
one.
wasn't part of that one.
No, you'll be meaning 77, 6, 7. That's what you're meaning.
I don't know. Maybe such a long time ago. Such a long time ago. Let's move on before I show myself up again. Si Pugh has come up with a cracking idea. I like this, Si. So Si said, I would love to see a retro, old school British final with riders from the 80s or 90s in it. Can you imagine National Speedway Stadium, a sort of retro, full British final format meeting? Nigel Crabtree's in it, Les Collins is in it. Wouldn't that be cool?
Nigel Crabtree wouldn't be in it if you're talking about a retro old one. Bloody hell, he wouldn't be good enough to be in that one, let me tell you.
Do you know, Nigel, I noticed that, I think it was this week, Peter Collins celebrated his 72nd birthday. That made me feel quite old when I read that.
Yeah,
How did that happen? Happy birthday, PC, if you happen to be looking in.
Brabby, you could open Buxton and do the first few laps around there.
I'll let you do that, Simon. You'll be there.
Oh, no, you can use my bike. You can use my bike.
I don't want to damage your bike, Simon. I'll let you do it. Let them as can do it nowadays.
You won't be able to touch the floor on your bike, Lambo.
No, I wouldn't know. No.
You wouldn't know. I'm not joking either. That's it, yeah.
It's right, that, yeah.
Robert Lambert sat on my bike once on my stand, and I've got a picture of it, and his feet are that far from the floor. I'll send you it later, Derek. I'll find it. You'll laugh at that. That'd be great.
I'd love to see that. Crabby, another one for you. Jason Pipes from back in touch. Ask Crabby, how narrow did Canterbury become in 1987? Exclamation mark. It was a decent track then, but in 1987, their last season, they put a greyhound track inside the Speedway track and killed off the Speedway there. Do you think that was the narrowest track ever, especially coming out of the bends? Can you remember that, Nigel?
Yeah, probably Canterbury wasn't it? It was a bit narrow, I think. 87 was the last year, was it?
Yeah.
Right. I didn't know what year was last year. Right, but yeah, it was a bit narrow. It's narrow and flat, if I remember. So, long straights again. I think didn't it used to be, around the football field at one time, it used to be, I think. And it was a bit as...
I had no recollection of it, but Jason said that they created a greyhound track inside the Speedway track. So I guess that must have squeezed up the Speedway track. Yeah,
but not only Canterbury did that, Exeter did that. Didn't Exeter have a greyhound track round the inside at Speedway?
I don't know.
Robbo?
Yeah, I think they might have done.
I think Exeter had one out inside. I think so. They were on grass though.
Yeah, it was grass.
Grass, not sand. Yeah. I don't know how popular it was. I don't know.
We're graced with the presence of Ben Cave. Good evening, Ben. Ben has been a busy boy tonight. He's been along to Vauxhall to see their press and practice, and he says that Hellstrom Bangs looks particularly quick. But all riders look particularly quick on press and practice, Simon, don't they?
They do, but Hellstrom Bangs, I think, will be all right. To be fair, he's definitely not scared to get in the mix and throw himself around and that. So I think it'll be a good signing for Ipswich. To be fair, I think Ipswich have got a solid team, so that'll be all right. I did see Scotty did a interview earlier. It looked quite weird seeing him, getting a bit greyer again, and he's got his Kevlars on and that. It looked a bit weird seeing him compared to Jason Edwards, do you know what I mean? But good to see him back in Ipswich colours and that. I think they'll have a good year.
That's the circle of life. Listen, just got about 10 minutes or so to go, so please get your questions in for the lads. Next one, I'm going to ask you this question to each of you. I'll start with you, Robbo. Tasha Louise Marshall asks, quite simply, and I only want one answer from each of you, which was the favourite team that you ever rode for? Where were you happiest, Robbo? Coventry, without hesitation. How many seasons did you do there, Stuart?
I think all in all, I did about 12 or 13, all in all. So I did quite a lot.
Wow.
I did quite a lot with Newcastle as well over the time. I don't know how many. I did enjoy my time at Newcastle as well, don't get me wrong. I enjoyed my time at every club, to be honest, to be fair. But the Coventry was probably when I was at my best, the sort of early 2000s, and I really enjoyed my time there because the team that we had, the riders that were there, they were great, and I learned so much from them. And yeah, that was probably my best time within the sport.
Simon, I'll ask you the question out loud anyway. I know you'll give me the... Well, listen, you've ridden for multiple clubs, so just give me an answer. Which club do you... Could you imagine writing in your memoir, Simon, that was your favourite time?
I think my time at Peterborough, to be fair, 2015 to 2018, that was kind of I wouldn't say the making of me, but I started to take more serious steps up the ladder as such. But it was a very, with Jed and Lisa there, they tried to make it a very close-knit, sort of bit like a family club. And we had some good riders in the team. Once everybody learned it was English only, no Danish was allowed because there was a lot of Danes in the team. Yeah, that was my most memorable times, to be fair.
Good, Simon. Nigel, no pressure, no offence. You pick the team that you want to pick, Nigel.
Unfortunately, Derek, I have to say, when I was at Stoke, 9 years I spent there. But again, just to cover my arse in that year, everywhere I rode was good. I mean, Scunthorpe, when I first went to Scunthorpe when it was at Ashbyville, not where it is now, obviously, I can remember my second year there. That's when I sort of started doing all right, if you like. I averaged over 9, and that year we had a team full of Robert Hollingworth, Simon obviously knows him, Robert Hollingworth, Andy Fisher, Derek Richardson, and we were all nobodies really. Ollie was past his best, wasn't he, when he went there? Andy Fisher, like myself, really hadn't done a lot beforehand. And that year it just all worked together. And I think why it all went wrong at Scunthorpe then was because we used to win at home every meeting, and they couldn't afford to pay us to win at home. And this is another true fact as well. It was nice people that run it. They just didn't have a lot of money. And there used to be a big race on a Tuesday morning to the bank to get your check in, because whoever got them in first, there were half a chance it'd clear. If you got it in on a Wednesday, too late. There wasn't enough money in there for it to clear. But they were a good lot, and we all rode, never lost at home, got into I can't remember what they used to call it in them days, but got in the playoffs, whatever it was called. Scunthorpe had never, ever done anything like that before. So that was a good year at Scunthorpe. And then I have to say, obviously, my 2 years at Glasgow were special, weren't they? Had my testimonial there. Won the league and cup 2 years on the trot, so obviously that were very special as well. But I have to say, my 9 years at Stoke, they were all special times. They were all good times. Yeah, they were all good times.
I've got to say, Nigel, I hope you. I don't mean to cause you any offence, but I do always associate you as being Mr. Stoke. Because of 9 seasons is 9 seasons. It's a heck of a long time to invest in one club, and but listen, Nigel, you go down in history as being the first skipper of Glasgow Spirit to ever hold aloft a league winner's title. So God bless you for that, Nigel.
Oh, it was good, and yet if Stoke hadn't shut, I wouldn't have been there.
Yes.
I doubt very much I would have been there. I'd still been at Stoke. But, them 2 years at Glasgow when won the league, they've given me my testimonial there. The 2 terrific seasons they were. So every season was a good season, wasn't it, really?
It was. Jason Pipe has just confirmed that we're talking about Canterbury and Exeter. So Jason says, firstly around the football pitch, then the dog track as well. And yes, Exeter was grassed. They grassed the greyhound track inside the Exeter track. Thank you, Jason. You're a mind of information, Mr. Pipe. Thank goodness you're here. Fast
Start the Peterborough Speedway.
He is, isn't he? Yeah, yeah.
Do you know? I'm not actually sure that I've ever really. I'm not sure I've ever met or spoke to Jason. Obviously, I know of him. I know who he is, but I don't think I've ever had the pleasure of speaking to you, Jason. So we must put that right sometime. A question has flooded in from Baz Collins, and Baz asks, "It's a converse of the one that we asked earlier on about your favourite club. Can you think of or identify a club that you never ever raced for, but actually you very much admired and would love to have been given the opportunity, Robbo?"
Yeah, two clubs I would like. Wolverhampton, I love that track, love the place. And I had lots of good meetings down there with Coventry. It would have been good to have ridden there because they were a really well run club and a good bunch of lads there. And Poole, I would like to have had a season down at Poole just to have experienced it, and see. It was like I didn't have the most successful meetings down there, but I'm sure I could have done if I'd have rode there more often. That's from sort of back in my day. That's the two clubs would have been nice to have been part of. And Poole was sort of so successful; they kept winning everything all the time, didn't they? So it would have been nice to have been on the winning end rather than second place, which I kept on getting second place for every time we sort of. We're near the end of the, getting there, we're right up there, and then we're getting knocked to second place,
Good. That's Robbo's choice. Nigel?
Yeah, place I used to, it seemed to take me ages to get used to the place, and then when I got used to it, I just got used to it, and they shut it down. Wimbledon. I used to like that place. That was a bit, the pits underneath the stands, and it had a bit of a thing about it, a bit of a feel about it, and that. I liked Wimbledon. Plus, like the Lannings were there, so it were always bigged up. And I used to enjoy going Wimbledon. But I couldn't say that there was anywhere where I'd like to have rode. I rode where I did because I wanted to, and they wanted me. So that was it really. That was. I spent my time at a couple of seasons at Scunthorpe, didn't I? A bit at Newcastle, Stoke. I ended up where I wanted to be. They wanted me, and so I rode where I wanted to go.
You went where fate took you, Nigel. Simon, you're still an active rider, right? Is there a club out there, Simon? Here's a chance to put yourself in the shop window. Is there a club that you have always admired and never ridden for?
Northampton.
Listen, it's a bit different for me, Derek, now because I've got a little man, so I have to be sensible, really, where what not suits me, but works around him and work as well. But when I was younger, more Redcar was always the track, really. To be fair. Brian Havelock, he used to ring me like second week of November. I think 5 years in a row he rung me. It's fancy coming to Redcar next year, boy. I said, I literally signed for someone last week. Or I said, why don't you ring me a week earlier? Why don't you ring me a week earlier, a couple of days? And he was one bloke I always wanted to ride for, to be fair, at Redcar, but it never happened. But it is what it is. But yeah, I think most clubs now are very professional on that sort of scale. They have to be. So yeah.
Good. Listen, we are blessed. We have a question from no less than the president of the World Speedway Riders Association, Barney Kennett, is online. Good evening to you, Barney. And Barney says, "Good evening, boys. Love the show. And tonight I'm getting ready to go to Glasgow for the Ben Fund. Keep up what you're doing, especially you, Nigel." From Barney Kennett, Nigel. Any stories about Barney that you can share?
He's the selfie king.
Yeah, the selfie king,
Yeah, I see a lot of pictures there.
Yeah, it is. I'll tell you what, Barney, he is so 110% Speedway, 110%. The pity we haven't got more like him, never ever knock it, always praise it. And he's just so full of enthusiasm for it. He's so enthusiastic and everything is Barney. We need more like Barney, to be honest with you. And as you say, he's president of the WSRA. And what a cracking job he will do as well. Right man for the job there, right man for the job. I hope you're listening, Barney, and you owe me a beer when I see you at Leicester in November.
Listen, Barney, I'll hopefully bump into you at Glasgow on Saturday. You're going to bring all your jewellery, all your finery, Barney, because I'd love another selfie with you wearing all your finery.
Is he going to Redcar tomorrow on his way up?
Well, there's the question.
Yeah.
Are you dropping into Redcar tomorrow night, Barney? If you are, Simon Lambert will buy you a beer, I think is what
I
he
see him
said.
at Oxford last year, and he's the sort of guy that it could be raining and he'd be like dressed with like a real summery Hawaiian shirt on and shorts with his stick out here and a pint in his hand. Nice guy.
But Barney, here's an idea for you, Barney. You need to listen. I know you like your selfie stick, right? But selfie sticks have now been replaced by a 360 camera, right? We're 360 Speedway. You need a 360 camera, and you hold that up, and what a view you would get. Panoramic 360 view, Barney, of everywhere that you go and everyone that's around you in a room. So have a little look and maybe treat yourself to a 360-degree camera, Barney. We can have a chat about it on Saturday.
Stick him in the group.
Listen, that brings us to 9:15, and that's a lovely way to finish off, receiving a message from such a person of such high esteem. Simon Lambert, just remind us, how busy are you going to be next few days?
I'm only in the Championship and National League. We don't start National League for a month. I got Redcar tomorrow, and then week off, 9 days off. I think the next one, Buxton for their opening match on Easter Sunday, which is good because that's good for the sport. It's another track opening and whatnot. So yeah, looking forward to that. So I've agreed to do that, and then we sort of get a little bit busier. So couple of weeks here and there. I think we got Poole and Scunny the week after in the cup, and then I'm very quiet in June. May's ridiculous. Yeah, is what it is, isn't it? I'll still be here.
You'll be flat out in August and September probably.
Well, I might be Northampton yet with Robbo and Crabby. So
we've opened the door, Simon. We've opened the door. Yeah. Listen, Robbo, Nigel, Simon, thanks very much for your company. Thank you out there for joining us tonight. I hope you've. I'm relieved first and foremost that we've managed to be seen and fully audibly heard tonight. So we've put correct our technical issues from a month ago. We'll do this again in a month's time, towards the end of April. Although one of us might be going off on holiday, so we'll work around a date for the live in April.
You could do it in your Hawaiian shirt and shorts.
I could do it live from Tenerife on a beach or something. Yeah, I might do that. Yeah. So listen, have a good week. If you're going trackside, enjoy yourselves. If you're travelling up to Glasgow on Saturday, the sun is on order. Let's all get gathered together at Ashfield on Saturday and give back to the Ben Fund. And we will be back in a traditional format next Friday for episode 13. Lucky for some, will be published next Friday. Amongst other things, we're planning to hopefully going to talk to Lawrence Rogers, hopefully, and we're planning to have a bit of a chat about why in modern times there aren't so many 10+ riders. Something to look forward to. Look after yourselves. See you next Friday. Good night.
Good night, everyone.
Good night.